Hello, everyone. Welcome to Random Encounter 268 or 268. I bet you have questions right now, like, why aren't you Rhythm Encounter? Shouldn't Rhythm Encounter be posting today? And in response, I have a question for you. Why aren't you currently playing Tears of the Kingdom? Because Tears of the Kingdom just got released. And you know what? That's what you should be playing right now. So, yeah, we are... I have stolen Rhythm Encounter's time slot to bring you a random encounter, so we have a chance to talk about the game that just got released a few days ago, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. But do not worry, because just because this is a random encounter, not a rhythm encounter, that does not mean we do not have rhythm representation, because joining us today are Mike.
Hello.
And Hilary.
Hi.
And rhythm and random regular Audra.
Hello.
Yeah, so what we're going to be focusing on today are two games that are both sequels to what I would consider to be two of the most, I guess, relaxing Zen games of the last decade in very different ways, obviously. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Tears of the Kingdom, obviously, and we're going to be talking about Coffee Talk 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. And just a heads up, this is going to be a very first impressions look at Tears of the Kingdom, because Mike and I are playing it, and both of us have just gotten off the what's it called, Sky Island? I keep calling it the Greater Plateau.
I think it's the Great Sky Island.
Great Sky Island. The Greater Plateau feels appropriate because that's basically what it is. And we're going to be back on Saturday with an emergency random encounter episode where Mike and I and three other panelists are going to be talking about our first week with Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And really looking forward to that, because I'm also really looking forward to playing more of the game. Also, Audra hasn't played it yet, and Hilary has been watching a little bit. Mm-hmm. So this is primarily just going to be Mike and I. Mike, how are you enjoying it thus far?
Much.
Yeah.
It's, I tried not to look at too much because, there were some previews a few weeks ago, and I looked at a couple, and it was obviously like, Nintendo had like a very strict, like, you can talk about these like certain things. So the previews I looked at were almost the same thing. So I had a little bit of preview there, and I mostly looked at Nintendo Life's review because, Alana, formerly of RPG Fan, wrote it, and it was a good review, and everyone should read it.
Yes, it was. And the fact that Alana gave it a 10 speaks volumes to me, because it's Alana and I trust Alana. Personally, I trust Alana, but so, yeah, I'm like, oh, this is a 10 out of 10.
And her scoring, I mean, she doesn't hand those out lightly.
No, she's very fair. Mm-hmm. I actually lost my train of thought, which is actually really fitting for talking about this game, because it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm going to go do that. It's like, wait a minute. What's over there?
I'm seeing some green bars in the sky. I think I might need to look for a shrine.
I've seen people describe it as, it's a sequel, of course, to Breath of the Wild, but I think to me, I think this is true. Like, after a few hours with it, it does not feel like the same game. The direction is different. Visually, of course, it looks like the same. It is literally in the same world, but the way you get around and the way you play and just the different abilities you have to navigate and interact with the world make it feel very different, and more so than I expected. And I like that so far.
I would agree with you, Mike, with your assessment of the game thus far. It is not Breath of the Wild. It's not a clone. It's really doing its own thing. Although I will admit there are a lot of similarities. Incidentally, we're going to be talking spoilers right now. So if you are desperately trying to avoid spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom, maybe skip ahead a little bit. But we're not going to be talking about like big spoilers. This is like first 2-3 hours of gameplay. It starts out in a very different way from the original, with like a very interactive cutscene, I would argue. Which you probably have seen clips of in the trailers of Link and Zelda going underneath Hyrule Castle and finding a very thirsty Ganon, or I call him Thirsty Ganon. Everyone's calling Ganon, or whoever it is, very thirsty because he's very, very big. But like, this is a very thirsty Ganon in the sense that he is completely dehydrated. And stuff happens, and Link awakes on a sky island after being asleep for a considerable amount of time. Shades of the first one. And he gets alucarded at the very beginning of the game. So you start the game with like all of the hearts and the Master Sword, and then he doesn't have them anymore and only has 3 hearts. And there's a good gameplay reason why. And you awake on the Sky Island, and you need to putter around the Sky Island and figure out what's going on, and get some new powers and stuff like that, and to find Zelda, who you have been separated from. So the beginning of it feels very similar to Breath of the Wild in this terms of the setup. As Link wakes up, there's a gameplay area that's relatively self-contained that offers a vertical slice of pretty much everything the game has to offer, so you can play around on it, just like the Grand Plateau or the Great Plateau. But then it starts moving in a different direction, because you do have completely different powers from the first game. So the gameplay becomes very, very different in terms of how you go after puzzles. And immediately, I realized that as much time as I spent on Breath of the Wild, I'm going to be spending more time on Tears of the Kingdom, just around, building random contraptions and seeing if they work.
Right? Yes, absolutely. Oh, what happens if I glue this to this?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very, very, very tempting for me when Mike is doing that to chime in with use boulder on stick.
Yes, your graphic adventure heritage. Uh-huh.
Yes.
I really appreciate how this game encourages you to just combine random stuff and see what it does.
It really does. It's a playground. Like Breath of the Wild was also a playground, like big, nice open world that you explore with a surprising amount in it, even though it wasn't the traditional kind of open world where it's like every 5 minutes you come upon some kind of a landmark of some kind. In Breath of the Wild, it was very much like you come upon a Korok seed, or you come upon a scene of some kind. And this is very similar to that, except now you also find like random contraptions littering the ground, and you're like, what if I connected this to this? I think my favorite thus far was I was running around Hyrule. I'm not very far. I've just gotten off the Sky Island, and I'm not gonna spoil what happens next, because it's pretty cool. But I was just running around Hyrule proper, and found basically a skateboard, like a very, very basic vehicle. And there were 2 things beside it, and one was an engine, like a fan engine. So I was like, ooh, okay, I'll put that in the back there. And then there was this circular thing, and I was like, is that a steering wheel? It was like a spherical kind of thing with a button on it. I was like, it must be a steering wheel. So I attached it to the front of the cart, and then I hit the wind turbine, and the cart took off, and I turned around and pressed the button on the steering wheel, which turned out to be a bomb.
Oh no.
And then sent Link flying into the air. And there was a joke when Amanda and I were playing Breath of the Wild that every time one of us did something ridiculously stupid that ended up in Link's death, we would just shout out, "The hero of Hyrule, ladies and gentlemen." And there thus far have been so many hero of Hyrule, ladies and gentlemen moments in this game for me.
Oh, I bet. This one wasn't mine. I mean, I've had some too, but I just saw this clip someone posted or sent to me last night of someone who fused an explosive barrel to a boomerang. Mm-hmm. And then threw it at the enemy, but it missed. You can imagine how that went for Link.
Yeah, and there's people who are doing that. They're like, I wonder what happens if I combine my sword with a bomb.
Mm-hmm. I can guess. I'll probably try it at some point, but I'm probably going to regret it.
Yeah, it's the central conceit of this game is you basically can connect any 2 objects together, whether that be your a shield to another shield, or a weapon to another weapon, or your usual, like your pickup mechanic. When you do that, you can connect and fuse 2 objects together into one. So you can make, like you've probably seen the trailers, you can make rafts or various other contraptions. Contraptions is the word of the day when it comes to Tears of the Kingdom, because there are a lot of contraptions. It's basically like the developers just went on YouTube and looked at all of this shit of people breaking Breath of the Wild, and we're like, let's just make that gameplay.
Yep.
Like when you see like images of people like taking 2 minecarts and putting them together and then using various things to create a flying machine, they're like, yes, we're just making that into the game now. That's the game.
Which like from a development standpoint, it's actually I'm actually really impressed by it, because it's not just, oh, well, we just made things that they connect. These things can connect, but like they do things. Like you connect, Did you put did you try fusing a minecart to your shield?
No, not yet. It works?
It works, but also because you can shield surf, if you shield surf with the minecart on a rail, you just glide along the rail.
Ooh, that is cool.
There seems to be a pretty consistent logic to it.
Yeah.
Which is impressive.
So like all these things, like they had to figure out, okay, all these things can combine. What happens when these specific things combine? The
wiki for this is going to be insane. It's going to be so long of just everything you can connect, everything else, and what it does, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, okay, let's. I'm a reviewer. I'm a critic. Oh, incidentally, I am reviewing this game. Do not expect the review for some time because this is a big friggin' game. And I just got it. So we are going to have a review when I finish, which will be a little while, but I promise it will be out as soon as possible. The game itself is very... How can I put this? It is... Okay, I'm going to be charitable and phrase it by saying this is pushing the Switch to its very limits.
Yeah, that's fair.
In terms of graphics and world size. Frankly, I think it's kind of a miracle that they've actually managed to create a game like this in Switch with so many different worlds, because it's not just Hyrule. Like, it's the landmass of Hyrule that was in the initial game is still there, but now you have lots more. I would argue just as much to explore as Hyrule itself. So maybe a little less, but maybe not. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. So they basically doubled the game world. And that's impressive in and of itself. That being said, there are a few graphical issues. A lot more pop-in than I would like. Draw distances are a little funky sometimes. Clearly, I feel like this game was designed for the Switch Pro or the Switch 2 or whatever they were planning on releasing and then canceled. Because it runs okay. It could run better.
Right. But it's still like, not to just make the obvious comparison, but it's night and day when you compare it to like Pokemon.
I knew it.
I mean, I have to, because like sometimes and not just Pokemon, but like sometimes you'll play a game on Switch, like when something is designed for like the PS5 or something and they port it over and you're like, okay, well, this is all you can do on Switch. But like sometimes a game like this will come out and you're reminded, it's like, no, I mean, there are ways.
Yep.
So the Switch is actually more powerful than sometimes you think it is, even though it's not on the level of the others.
I'm not sure if the Switch is more powerful or if Nintendo is more powerful and they just have wizards working as developers.
They're whiz robes, actually.
Yeah, they're whiz robes. And that's how these games actually run and why Nintendo games run so well on Switch consoles and nothing else does. The game runs really, really well for the generation. I mean, I know there are people out there who have actually bought the game and they own a Switch, but they are playing it through slightly more illicit means on a let's just say a console, a virtual console of sorts, so they can get better performance. I am not. I am playing it on the Switch because I love my Switch. And also because, I'm reviewing it and that would not be cool if I was like, wow, the draw distance is amazing if you're not playing it on Switch and you didn't pay for the game.
Right.
So yeah, I think that we are going to be seeing whenever the Switch 2 comes out, I mean, rumors have it coming out next year, but rumors had it coming out last year and the year before that. So who knows? I think that this game is going to get a dramatic upgrade in terms of its performance. That being said, it's running fine. It's running pretty well. I'm surprised at how well it's running considering just how much is going on.
Right.
Like I said, I'm still early on and it's hitting all the same buttons for me as Breath of the Wild. Like, it's been a long time since I played Breath of the Wild and I'm just remembering what a ridiculous collectathon this game is and how it you got to collect every mushroom that's growing around every single tree.
Well, you got to cook them.
And the cooking mechanics are greatly improved in this game, incidentally, because you can actually, you can go to recipes now and you can see lists of recipes and it will tell you if you have all the ingredients. And if you already have all the ingredients, you can just click on the recipe and it will put them all into Link's arms automatically to dump into the pot. So that's useful. Yeah, it's much better. Much, much, much better. And there are other things like there's portable cooking stoves. So if you are stuck somewhere and you need some kind of a boost, whether it be a cold weather boost or you need a little bit more stamina, you can cook yourself up something if you have the recipe.
I love those. I know some people have been calling them like gotcha machines, which is like, I don't think is the right term because there's no actual gotcha mechanics in this game. They're just like, they're
capsule machines.
The capsule machines, vending machines. I think they're a lot of fun. I mean, just to see like, oh, what can I get? It's like, oh, cool. I got a bunch of portable flamethrowers. Thank you.
Things you only say in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
Yeah, portable flamethrowers are fun, especially when you connect them to things like your shield.
Uh-huh. Have you messed with any rockets yet?
I found one, and I didn't play with it yet because I went to bed.
Oh, okay.
But I looked at it and was like, I wonder what I can do with this.
Uh-huh. They're pretty cool.
The way the progression is handled in this game is going to be very similar to the way the progression was handled in Breath of the Wild, in that you have a limited number of hearts and a limited amount of stamina, but you build that up by going to shrines and getting like the power of shrines. And when you get 4 of them, you can trade it in for another heart container or a stamina boost. And of course, the stamina boost lets you climb higher and swim further, and hearts let you not die as fast. I'm dying so fast.
I know. I think that's part of the game design, the trade-off too, because they're like, okay, the powers they give you to like fuse and like navigate, like with ascend, like you're much more powerful or more capable, and you have many more options. So I think the trade-off was like, well, enemies are smarter and there's more of them and they hit you really hard. So it doesn't break the game as much as you think it would when you're like, oh, I can just do whatever I want.
Yeah, the doing whatever you want is a good descriptor of this game, really. Amanda and I have had a joke for Breath of the Wild that's just, I'm pretty sure this is fairly widespread, where it's just Zelda in whatever Twilight realm she's in, just watching Link bumble around when he's supposed to be saving her, and just her going, oh God. And I the joke that I made immediately was, you meet a new friend, and he gives you your new tool, your new Sheikah Slate that you can use to like move stuff and connect things together. And I just imagine him being like, "Do not worry, Zelda. I gave Link my arm. It allows him to connect any 2 objects together." And she's just like, "You did what?" And he's like, "It will make him more powerful than ever." And she just like turns a mirror to him and just seeing Link making like a rocket car. And her being like, we will never be saved, ever. You just gave the ability to connect any 2 objects to the most distractible man in Hyrule.
It's true.
Canonically speaking, Link is the most distractible man in the history of Hyrule.
Uh-huh.
Just any quest that Link is on is just like, ooh, what's that? What's this over here? Ooh, hello. And I just imagine Zelda just being like, just save me. No, rocket go voom.
Right. I do like the stuff that has carried over, like the environmental effects and stuff is still there. So if you're fighting because I did this last night, like a bunch of enemies, like you can set a patch of grass on fire and create a current and fly up in the air and, do your like bullet time arrow flinging. I had forgotten that this was a thing in the game until my first thunderstorm. And I'm like, why is my sword sparking? And I'm like, oh, right. I don't want metal equipment on right now. Mm-hmm. But I use that to get into one of the towers. This is actually, if you watch any of those previews, like one of the areas Nintendo let people show off was this one tower. And as you're walking in, they roll this big like metal spiked ball at you. And, so I'm like, okay, well, first I'm going to roll back time to roll the ball back up the ramp and take out some of the guys. But also there was lightning going on, and I realized I could grab that ball, hold it way far away from me, and I just held it up there and walked into the tower and just let lightning like hit that lightning ball and blow up everything around it. And it was just so silly and fun.
I think we talked about this a little bit, but I appreciate how the newer, objects and mechanics actually are kind of bringing some new flair to those environmental effects.
Yeah, because if you haven't done it, the amount of lightning that gets drawn down on a like 10-foot diameter steel ball is much more potent than on a single sword. So it's pretty neat. It really makes you look at what's around.
Yeah.
and like, oh wait, there's some metal boxes over there, and also there's some explosive barrels, which, you know, obviously I was going to use to my advantage and did not die about a dozen times trying to like get to this tower because they blew up in my face.
I died so many times. The last thing I did last night before I went to bed, I was like, I'm just gonna. I jumped off. I went back up to the Sky Island, and then I jumped off in a different direction just to see what was going on. I was like, I'm going to go a little further into Hyrule. And I ended up very far into Hyrule, much farther than I should have been in terms of my health level. And I landed near a Moblin encampment. And it had a big Moblin and a lot of armored Moblins. Blue Moblins, and I decided I'm going to clear this place out and then go to bed. And this turned into me not going to bed for an hour because I kept dying repeatedly because I was clearly in an area where I should not have been. But that's part of the fun of it because you start getting creative with the game mechanics and like, all right, so if I swing my stick, it's not going to hurt them. It's just going to bounce off the armor. So how do I fix this? My first solution was just to stealth bomb the crap out of them with bomb arrows, which sort of worked until I got hit with a rock and then fell on my butt, and then someone whacked me with their stick, and I died. And then I realized that there was a big spiky ball under the thing, so I picked that up and started whacking people with it and dropping it on them, and that seemed to work pretty well. And then of course I found some bomb barrel or some explosive barrels, and I started like stealthing those around the camp into strategic areas. So when I lured them into my trap, I would blow them up. And then I cleared everybody out except for like one last Moblin who had like no health, and he snuck up behind me and hit me and killed me.
Oh no.
Yeah. And that was like, I should probably just go to bed now. So I don't know if I'm going to continue with my Moblin attack or not. Probably not. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But the point is, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this game. And I believe you are too, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, I really need to go, you know, because we're both at the point. Well, you already went down into that one cave thing.
Yeah, I did. And there's going to be some surprises down there for you, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I have not done that yet.
Yeah. This is the chasm section is something that Nintendo has successfully kept under wraps, actually.
Yeah, until release. I had no idea.
Yeah, and there's some interesting stuff down there that's going to make you go, whoa, okay.
Neat.
And head down there. And of course, we got returning characters from the first game, and if you played the Hyrule Warriors spin-off of Breath of the Wild, there will be a couple of characters you recognize from that back again. And it's coming along really well. Again, I'm only in like the first few hours. I can tell that there's going to be many more hours of playing it, and I'm really enjoying it thus far. It's scratching all the same itches as Breath of the Wild, but there's more to it than just that. It is genuinely a sequel to Breath of the Wild. It's not an expansion pack. It's not a DLC. It's a sequel.
Yeah.
One random thing I just had to really admire, like as Link is running around testing all these inventions, getting blown up, getting flung everywhere, flinging enemies everywhere. I found myself really admiring like the physics of all of that, because that's also a ton of work.
Oh yeah.
And even things as simple as designing your little cart to take you from one area to another on the Sky Island. I know the first time Mike and I did it, we both looked at it a little bit because it wasn't balanced properly at first, so we couldn't get it to actually move, and we had to fix it.
Right, use a smaller piece of wood so it would balance better. Yeah.
I will say my only real complaint about the game, and I haven't looked, but I suspect it's a complaint that many people have, is the rotation function when you're trying to get a hook or something to go straight up. Apparently my spatial orientation abilities are not good enough to actually properly manipulate a hook or a post or something to go stick straight up in the air. It's always at an angle.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've gotten used to it. You know, like when you turn it one way, it wants to go at an angle, but I can't articulate it and explain it. I have to like visually see it. But I don't know what a better way is, because, you know,
there's not one.
Moving things in a 3D space with, you know, 2D controls. I don't know. I mean, it's the same in like working in like a 3D, you know, design app or something. Like you just have to like grab handles and
Yeah.
I think you'll get the hang of it.
I will, and I have, but it's there's a lot here. There's a lot here, and there's a lot I haven't discovered yet, and there are twists and turns in the plot that I realize are going to be coming, and it's going to be an interesting ride, I think, and I'm not far enough into it yet to say whether these 10s out of 10s are justified, but I'm certainly enjoying it. So unless it falls flat in its face, it's certainly heading towards somewhere in the 9s.
Yeah.
I think anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just our initial impressions of Tears of the Kingdom. By Saturday, these impressions might completely turn around and we might be like, oh, it's horrible. No, that's not
okay.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We're going to get together on, we're going to get togetger in a few days and we're going to.
Montoya took offense to that.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard. We're going to sit down together and we're going to have a good conversation about Tears of the Kingdom. So if you were at all curious about that conversation, stay tuned. It will be coming out in just a few days. But because this is technically a regular episode of Random Encounter and we have not actually played very much of Tears of the Kingdom yet, that's just a little tease, our first impressions. We're going to talk about something else now, another game that got released a few weeks ago and which I know happens to be a personal favorite series of Audra, Mike, and Hilary, which is Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. Now, this is obviously the sequel to Coffee Talk, a game that was released a few years ago, where you run a coffee shop in an alternate world version of Seattle, where mythic creatures exist, and not just exist, but they also have day jobs. They're just members of society, with their usual fantasy tropes translated into the modern day world. So your job is to listen to their troubles and to make them coffee. It's a very relaxing game. It has a legendary soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And the sequel came out a few weeks ago. And Audra, you reviewed this for the site. You also reviewed Coffee Talk. We talked about it in episode, I think it was 259. It was back in January for Random Encounter. You came on to talk about Coffee Talk 1. So you've continued the series. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. I feel like it does some things stronger, and then other times it's kind of more, to me, it's more of the same, really.
Yeah, it's the Tears of the Kingdom of coffee.
But it's a really solid game and just a wonderful kind of continuation of the original Coffee Talk, I think. Very relaxing and very soothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the exact same central conceit as the initial game, which is what I just said. You're a barista. And you talk to your customers and you make them various hot beverages. And that's sort of the entire game. But if you like visual novels and Sims and that kind of relaxing Zen thing, then Coffee Talk really talks to you.
Yes, it does.
I'm kind of curious, Audra. What'd you name your barista this time around?
Just my name. I'm not very original.
I still can't remember. We somehow lost our save for the first game because I forgot what we called her. So this time we called her Starbuck.
That's pretty good.
Technically a Battlestar reference.
Yeah. It doubles as a coffee and Battlestar.
Yeah. It's kind of funny sometimes. Like I don't think the first game was balanced any much differently, but it is funny. Like we just did one of the days last night, and like sometimes people come in and don't even like order a drink. Not all the time.
Oh yeah,
so,
they're just going to talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's really you are in a coffee shop and you are making drinks, but like the game is definitely mostly about the characters and the narrative.
I mean, at least for the day we just finished, it made sense because one of the characters was picking the other character who already had a drink up.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's
sort
just
of
freeloading.
No,
and there's the cat that you don't really.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's a cat that shows up in the second installment, and you have no idea what's going on with them, but they just kind of hop up into one of your chairs and stare at you.
Yeah. Oh my God, this game caters to a very specific demographic.
Yes,
right.
And that's not to be confused with the Nekomimi, who are the cat people who can transform
Rachel
into cats.
I mean, I'm guessing.
Henry. Yeah.
I'm guessing that cat also
is also a
one of those,
Nekomimi.
but we haven't.
Probably, but we don't know yet.
There's something about the cat that I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
I think it's like a secret ending.
Okay. Yeah, like we're looking at the calendar in the game, and it looks like we're pretty far through.
But our game progress is not.
The game progress is like 30%. So like obviously there's
we have way more to do.
Much more to see.
Yeah.
So how does making drinks work in this game?
So basically, they give you a base for your drink to play with, and then some other ingredients that you can layer with that. So bases are things like your tea, your coffee, chocolate is one, milk can be one. And in this sequel, you get 2 new types of tea, hibiscus and butterfly pea. And then you have things like ginger, mint, honey,
Cinnamon
that you can put with it, and you make your best guess as to what to pair, and it makes some pretty outrageous drinks sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the blue marshmallow with the butterfly pea.
Yeah, that one's fun.
It's milk, honey, I think.
Honey and yeah.
And then it just turns into this, like, it looks like a dessert. It's like this mound of like whipped cream and marshmallows.
Yes. But yeah,
it's like that makes sense.
Yeah. Like sometimes the characters will say like, I want something that has this in it, and you have to kind of guess.
Or I don't want this.
Or they want a certain drink, but you don't know how to make it yet. So you got to kind of puzzle it out.
But the cool thing is if you are knowledgeable about hot beverages, oftentimes it matches, at least as best it can with the limited, system. It does sort of match. Like to make chai, ginger, cinnamon, and tea.
Yeah.
And I think I actually looked up a recipe for Russian tea once, and I managed to figure out how to make it through the online.
That's the one that we got stuck on, and then Riona was mad at us.
Oh no.
She just wanted a hot cup of vodka, guys.
Fun fact, I've actually tried one of the things about Russian tea, I think in real life, is that it's super concentrated, and I actually got to try it once. It's really good.
Yeah.
But it hyped me up more than coffee. I was like bouncing off the walls.
Oh, wow.
Okay, what if you suck at latte art?
You don't have to do it.
You don't really have to. I mean, they require, some of them are like, I want latte art with it, please. But it's not, you don't have to be very good at it.
Yeah. There's not like an actual grading system.
No.
It's just whether or not you did it.
You won't get like it's a yes or no.
Yeah.
Did you do it?
Did you try?
The person that usually asks for it is Bailey's, right? Like the graphic designer elf.
In the first game,
and he'll be snarky at you.
Like, oh, you call this art, huh? Okay.
How on brand for both an elf and a graphic designer.
Pretty much.
Hey. No, that's true.
In terms of the actual, I guess, mechanics of making your brews, are there any gameplay consequences from screwing up or doing a good job?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you unlock various scenes based on how good you make the drinks or how badly you make them.
And
pretty much.
And in the first game, just to avoid spoiling stuff for the second game, there is actually a crucial decision. You can choose. Someone is like very stressed and very overworked, and you can choose to make a drink that will relax them and encourage them to sleep, or you can choose to make them their like triple espresso and like continue them on the path they're on.
Yeah, but like it will change the dialogue for the rest of that day. And well, I guess it would have repercussions down the line too and change your flow, because it's like, I mean, of course on Steam, like there's achievements, of course, for like getting a drink right. And of course there's achievements for getting them wrong.
Yep.
But like, depending on what you do, like that day will play out totally differently. It's like, well, this isn't what I wanted. And sometimes it can be, this isn't what I wanted, but actually it's really good. Or maybe that is what you were supposed to do. So it's pretty interesting.
It is interesting.
Unless you're, really disappointed and you're like, no, I cannot accept this person not getting the drink they want. So I'm going to reload my save.
You're not talking about anyone in particular there.
No, we've never done that.
No.
Although there is one where you have to get a wrong drink, actually.
Yes. Because the person intentionally doesn't like.
Yes.
The person intentionally asks you for it when they know you don't have one of the ingredients.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's a trickster.
So you have those kind of customers.
Yeah, it's very on brand.
Yep. I still like that character a ton, though.
Oh, yeah.
I love him.
Especially because he's always the one that ends up giving the other characters, like,
the advice.
Real talk advice. Yeah.
Yeah. No one else is willing to be, like, so blunt about it.
One of the things that has been added to this game from the last one is, I guess, more... I'm going to say online functionality. I do not mean that in the DLC or always online sense. I mean, you literally have the in-game version of like Facebook.
Tomodachi, yes.
Yeah, that's in the first one too.
Yeah, but I think they've expanded it because they have the stories, right?
Oh yeah, they have the stories.
They have stories and you can like things now.
Yeah. That's true.
Which is very cute.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because to me, I mean, yes, coffee shops, a wonderful place to get to know each other. But in today's world, part of friendship is the online experience, talking to your friends, hanging out, that kind of thing, and seeing what they like and post. So the fact that that's now available is cool.
And they sort of leaned very hard into it because one of the new characters is an influencer.
Oh yeah, Lucas,
the
satyr.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Lucas the satyr.
I like that aspect because each day of the shop, like only certain people come in. So it's kind of neat though that you can kind of follow like what the other characters might be doing on those off days.
The beginning of every day, Mike is like, hold up, I gotta check my social media.
Well, because when you start the day, there's a little red notification bubble and I need that to go away. And I also want to know what's going on.
I need to see what everyone's doing before I make your drinks. Hang on.
But they talk to each other too, so that's cool. It's like a Twitter kind of thing. So
that's true.
You can see them tagging each other and responding to each other, and especially like the newer characters, like you can see how they're like growing and getting to know each other partially through that system.
Mm-hmm.
How much like life?
Yeah.
I guess I know that for you all enjoy the game, but I certainly know for Mike and Hilary, one of the biggest draws of this game is the music.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Coffee Talk has a rather legendary video game soundtrack, lo-fi chill beats, and that is continued now with Coffee Talk Episode 2. And Audra, you actually mentioned this in the review where you you can find like the sound. It's in the music app on your phone, in the video game phone.
And you even uncover more based off of drinks you give to a certain character because she's working on collaborations with the composer.
Yep.
They have a little meta moment. Yeah, the musical character collaborates with the legendary composer.
Yeah.
Andrew Jeremy.
Well, yeah, I think we talked about that in the last...
Jeremy Gendrew, isn't that his name?
Jeremy Gendrew in the game. Which is how it was in the first game too, because like you could browse the music in the first game, and
it was all Jeremy Gendrew.
Yeah, it was a play off of the composer's actual name. And then in this game, you have one of the characters, like they bring him in. I mean, you don't see him in the game, but that they're working with the character and like, oh yeah, like that's the guy whose music you always play in the shop, right? I just think that's such a cute touch.
And it is a cute touch, and your barista character is a fan. Like you've got one of his albums like on the wall.
Yes.
Well, I know that not you're big fans of the music. If anyone wants a taste of some of the music, it was the very first track on episode 83 of Rhythm Encounter, Cafe Vibes, which was it was only a few weeks ago. Oh no, that was last year.
I was going to say.
I was like, I don't remember editing this.
No.
Just a few weeks ago. So the first song on it is Moonbright from Coffee Talk's soundtrack.
Which is that song samples Debussy's Clair de Lune, and then you brought Lonely Space on the Cocktail Cantata.
Oh yeah.
Another
recent episode.
Yeah. A more recent episode of Rhythm.
Yeah.
Actually, that was before that. It was 75. It was on January 3rd, 2022. It's okay. Time has no meaning.
I mean, I'll bring on Coffee Talk music to Rhythm Encounter whenever it even barely fits the topic. So
yeah.
Didn't we kind of do a little mini Rhythm Encounter episode with Random too at one point with the Coffee Talk?
I think we did. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was the one in January. Like we had a song moment, right?
Yeah, we did. It was like a little song moment. We could probably do that with this one too if we wanted to. If anyone has a song in mind.
I don't have a song in mind. I don't have the soundtrack.
They're
yet.
all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all good. But so like I said, if you wanted to listen to a song like a little mini Rhythm Encounter, episode 259 Marvel Talk would be the episode to listen to of Random Encounter for that. I'm just reading my description and suddenly a wild rhythm encounter appears. Sorry, I'm just admiring my writing. I'm like, that's clever. Who wrote that show description?
I mean, I always encourage everyone here to admire their own work.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The title of this episode is probably the thing I'm most proud of. I did at RPG Fan for quite some time. We were talking about it on the card, and Mike, you suggested Hyrulean Latte, I believe. And then I just started making jokes about what we could name this episode. And what were my options here? I said, a a steaming cup of Zelda, which just sounds horrible.
Yeah. I'm glad we didn't let end on that one.
Yeah.
A big steaming cup of Zelda. No spoilers. And then I said a link to the coffee, and I was like, wait a second. A latte to the past. Haha, I'm a genius. I will never come up with anything this clever again, ever.
Well, not for this
That's
episode.
not true.
Or ever again, maybe. Who knows?
No.
The title of this episode I might have peaked.
You might be.
Please. Please.
You're fine.
Yeah. So Coffee Talk 2 is, it's if it sounds like it's great. It sounds like it's, again, very similar to Tears of the Kingdom. It's more of the same with more on top. If you liked Coffee Talk, you're really going to like Coffee Talk 2 because it's continuing many of the plot lines. It's introducing new ones.
And actually, that you just made me think of something there. They did add in a new mechanic that we haven't talked about for Hibiscus
the
Butterfly.
item given. Giving.
You now have items that you can exchange with your patrons, and that actually comes into play and affects like the plot a little bit based on whether you remember to give something to someone at the correct time or not.
Yeah. Or if you give it to someone
wrong
different
person.
and see what happens. Yeah.
Usually it's just, this isn't mine. But sometimes you get funny responses.
Yeah. I do like, I wanted to bring this up a little bit. I'm not sure if we're like winding down on Coffee Talk, but before, actually, no, it was like right after the game came out, they were promoting the game and there was like a developer interview thingy. I think it is posted on Steam. Maybe it's on their site or something too. But they talked about a little bit about what the goal was with the game and how the theme of the sequel was about like change and growth, and that's why they didn't introduce a whole lot of new characters because they did. They're like, oh, we introduced 2 new characters, which is spoilers.
Actually, I think
Spoilers
it's 3.
they said 2.
They intentionally said
They're
2.
like, no, we introduced Lucas and we introduced Riona. And I'm like, oh, cool. You didn't talk about the best character you introduced in the game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you land, Audra, but we absolutely love
Amanda.
Amanda is awesome.
She's so good.
I
could
her
not
and
agree
Silver's
more.
Friendship and sibling bond.
Oh,
she's
she's great. I mean, also a character that just wears an astronaut suit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how they made her as expressive as she is, since you never see anything.
And she has the
actual
little
face.
flower
Yeah.
to differentiate her from when
From her brother. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, we love Amanda.
Yeah, I do too.
So they said like they wanted to show growth. So like the best way to do that was like not focus all on new characters, but they want to bring back the other characters and show them like where they are like 3 years later and like the new things they're doing and how their life has progressed. And I think they did that really well.
They do that in a pretty convincing way.
They did.
Yeah.
And I think, but despite what they said, like they also are doing that with the new characters. The new characters also have like really great like story arcs, and seeing how the new ones interact with the old ones and how they meet each other and play off each other. Like they've really blended the new characters with the
old
existing
and the new
ones.
interact. Especially, is it okay if I go into specific characters?
Yeah.
A little
Sure.
bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, one of the characters from the first game is Rachel, who is a Nico-Mimi singer.
Yeah.
And she's established, famous. Her arc in the first game was kind of like feeling pressured from her dad, who was managing her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the first game. And then you see her at the beginning of this game and she's branching out a little bit. She's saying now she has a little bit more freedom. She wants to get into composition and not just be, the singer idol kind of pop star, which is really neat to see. So that's kind of some of her growth. But because one of the new characters is also into singing, and because one of them is also like kind of influencer social media famous a little bit, like it's very interesting to see how those 3 kind of learn from each other and interact with each other and grow by knowing each other.
Yeah, I love their whole, if you see their friendship through to the end, it's really cute.
Yeah. Again, I'm not sure exactly how far we are, but we're at the point where like the 3 of them finally like got together and like collaborated on a thing. And I'm like, oh, good. She finally did that because like, Riona, I love Riona actually. Like, I just think like they have, you have elves and these other characters, but they didn't have a banshee character before. And I think that was a really interesting addition. And she's very cool and expressive and neat. And just the way she comes, when you start that game, like she does not want to talk basically. She's just like, she's very reserved and very, very moody. But,
And very, very like set in how she thinks the world and other people are.
Yeah.
At first.
But I've really liked seeing her like grow and like open up and learn from other people.
I'm really relieved actually to hear that the game's writing has certainly sounds like it is it's exceptionally good writing, and it's continued on from the first game, because the series, I guess the main series writer and the series creator, Mohammed Fahmy,
Yep,
passed away in 2022. I do not know if he was involved in Coffee Talk Episode 2. I know that he was developing a small project on his own that was delayed, obviously, because of his passing. But Coffee Talk 1 was, in many ways, it sounds like his baby. So it sounds like people have managed to continue on and really capture the spirit of the first game, which is great.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad that you are all very much enjoying Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. This is a game that I was thinking about, playing with Amanda at some point, because it does seem like a nice, relaxing time where we can just kind of chill out and play a game.
Do voices. It makes it so much more fun.
I always do voices. When Amanda and I were watching the opening cutscene of Tears of the Kingdom, yeah, Zelda has a lot of the dialogue, but in the parts of the game where she doesn't have any dialogue, I did my best Zelda impression for all of it, which kills Amanda, because apparently I nail it. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is going to be a relatively short episode of Random Encounter, because I got to edit it for tomorrow morning. But I'm really glad that we get to talk a lot about Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly, because like I said, it sounds pretty cool. And I know that the first game is terrific, and I'm glad the second game is too. Before we go, I just wanted a really quick little discussion question here. This is courtesy of Hilary. This is Hilary's idea for discussion question. I just love it, which is, what is your favorite hot beverage to carry around Hyrule? Hilary, why don't you go first?
Okay. I mean, I've got to go with a latte. They're my actual favorite.
What kind? You going with your real life current favorite from our favorite place?
Oh, geez. No.
Isn't that what you have right now?
That seems, yes.
Okay.
That seems a little bit too sweet for carrying around Hyrule.
Oh, okay.
So blueberry cheesecake latte. No, maybe something like a caramel or vanilla.
Okay. I'm really curious what your rules are here. Why can't you carry sweet things around Hyrule?
A blueberry cheesecake latte sounds like it would be a good stamina booster.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
If you're halfway up a mountain and you're about to run out of stamina,
I need sugar.
Yes.
Yeah, shoot a blueberry cheesecake latte and you'll get 3 full bars of stamina.
There you go. We'll go with that. Coffee for stamina.
Okay.
Latte for stamina.
That would be kind of a funny mechanic if you had things like if you had like stimulants and it like jacked you straight up to like 3 bars of stamina to get up somewhere, and then it just halved your stamina. You just have a sugar crash immediately afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
And you have to like wait till your stamina gauge gets back to normal.
Yeah.
Mike, what is yours?
Mine's also a latte. At the moment, if we're going to go literal, like what I literally have right now, it's a honey cinnamon latte, but
That's something you can make in Coffee Talk.
it is actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm good with like any latte, like usually flavored ones. Honey cinnamon, caramel's good, vanilla's good. A mocha is always a winner. So, yeah.
And Audra?
Well, right now I've been drinking just skinny vanilla lattes, so I guess I'd say that.
I am not a coffee drinker. I tried getting into coffee in university and failed miserably because I don't like the taste of it for some reason.
That's fair.
However, I am I drink a lot of tea, like at least 8-9 cups a day. And my favorite, there's a tea store in Toronto in the Beaches neighborhood called Pippin's, which is the most appropriate name for a tea store ever. It just sounds English.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they have absolutely fantastic teas and many flavors of different kinds of flavored black tea that I very much enjoy, like mango. But I think my favorite tea of theirs, and probably what I would drink, what I was just drinking now, is blackcurrant tea, which is a flavor that North American audiences do not know, because black currants are illegal in North America.
Really?
Yeah, they're illegal. There was I think it was in the early 20th century. There was some kind of I don't know if it was a fungus or some kind of infection, which could spread from blackcurrant to other plants.
Oh, wow.
So there was a eradication campaign in North America, which destroyed all the blackcurrant plants, and there were import bans put into place. I don't think those import bans still exist, but the flavor it's not something that's known to really North American audiences.
Not
it's
so
just
much.
A berry.
I mean,
it's just a berry, really.
Yeah.
You find them occasionally in like jams or teas if you look carefully.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But blackcurrant tea is probably my favorite tea. Flavor tea, anyway. My favorite regular tea is just Earl Grey. I just love a good old-fashioned Earl Grey tea. Lady Grey. I just like tea. So yeah, I'd be running around Hyrule with a thermos of a blackcurrant tea, which actually does sound like something that Link would have in his backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see it.
Blackcurrant tea sounds very canonically accurate. Anyway, so we are going to leave it off there because I know that Mike and I both want to get back to fooling around in Hyrule. Also, I've got to call my mom because it's Mother's Day today.
Yeah.
Aw.
Happy Mother's Day to those celebrating.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day.
Absolutely. So yeah, that is today's episode of Random Encounter. Like I said, we will be back on Saturday. Funny enough, usually I tease what's coming up, but because we kind of stole Mike's time slot with Rhythm, I'm just, it's the exact same as it was last week. So we have two other podcasts on RPG Fans website. We have Retro Encounter, the last episode of which was Octopath Traveler 2 Spoiler Cast. And coming up is a two-parter on Lost Odyssey. Solosi is off for the next couple of weeks, but Zach has been picking up the slack, so you can check those episodes out. We also have Rhythm Encounter, which is RPG Fans' music podcast. Mike, why don't you tell us what was last week's episode, or the week before last now?
So our most recent episode was an episode about Hitoshi Sakamoto's music, which was a lot of fun because much like I try to bring Coffee Talk music everywhere I can, I also try to bring Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter music anywhere I can. And that was another good outlet. But that was fun. There were some expected choices and some unexpected ones. So please check that one out. And then coming up next week, we're doing a sequel to our character themes episode. Our first character themes episode was a long time ago. So it turns out there's a lot of characters in RPGs. So it's really a topic we could revisit forever and never run out. So that one was fun to record. So also check that one out.
Cool. If you're looking for a way to support us here at RPG Fan, I highly suggest that you check out our store. So we have a store. You can find it at www.rpgfan.com/shop. And there you can find all kinds of things with our logo on it, with our 25th anniversary logo on it. If you'd like a mug focused on that, it's a really great logo. Just visit our website, look up in the top left-hand corner. Boom, there it is. 25th anniversary. We are 25 years old, which is simply crazy. We are old enough to vote and buy a gun.
And I'm not sure what the rule is in Canada, but also rent a car because that's 25 for some reason down here, unless that changed.
I think I could rent a car before I was 25.
It's such a weird thing. It's like, wait, you can drink and smoke and whatever at like 18, 21, but you need to be 25 to rent a car. Like, I'm not sure how that number came up, but yeah.
What I'm hearing here, Mike, is an RPG Fan road trip is in the future.
Yeah. I haven't been on one of those in 4 years.
Yeah. So, if you want to check out any of our wares, you can find them at www.rpgfan.com/shop. If you'd like to get in contact with us here at Random Encounter, you can do so at podcast@rpgfan.com. I would absolutely love to hear from you. If you have any idea for future episode themes or more discussion questions, like Hilary's great suggestion for what is your beverage of choice in Hyrule, please drop me a line, give me the idea. We'll talk about it on the show. If you'd like to send me an email, you can do so at jlogan@rpgfan.com, or you can find me on Mastodon at johnologan@mastodon.social. I am not the only person on this podcast with an online presence. Audra, where can we find you online?
Email and audrab@rpgfan.com.
Cool. And Hilary, where can we find you online?
Email's best, hilary@rpgfan.com.
And Mike, where can we find you online?
Nowhere. Mike@rpgfan.com.
Yes. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends. Helps get the word out there. If you have a little bit of time, we would love if you would drop us a review for Random Encounter or Rhythm Encounter or Retro Encounter. We would love to hear your feedback. Well, again, thank you very much for joining us, Audra, Mike, Hilary. We are recording this pretty early on a Sunday morning because we wanted to give me the minimum amount of time to edit this episode. I'm going to Amanda's parents for Mother's Day this afternoon, so I have quite a bit of editing to do in the near future. So I should probably sign off and get started on that.
Thank you.
But thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
I mean, thank you for such a quick turnaround, and I hope we didn't do anything to make the edit difficult on you.
No more than usual.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah. No, it's always a pleasure to edit you, Mike.
Wait a minute.
What a strange thing to say to somebody. And to everyone out there listening, whatever you're playing, which I suspect might be Tears of the Kingdom, have fun.